I'll help.
All right, if I can get everybody to stand, please. We'll do our pledges.
We are tiny.
Attention. Right hand salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. To the Awana flag. I pledge allegiance to the Awana flag, which stands for the Awana clubs, whose goal is to reach boys and girls with the gospel of Christ and to train them to serve Him. Order ours. You can post colors to the sides. That way it kind of gets everything. So we come to 75% of this year is done. We actually have like 8 more weeks, more than 8 more weeks of classes. But then we have a couple other things that we'll talk about as time goes by. So generally what ends up happening is as the kids work through the 8 weeks, they will continue to work through their books. And so kind of as we described before, for those that haven't been here, what has been happening is for the longest time, the younger classes, the Puggles, the Cubbies, they basically will work through 1 book a year. And then if you were to come in some of the other classes, they could have the capacity to work more than 1 book a year. But this year, everybody is doing 1 book a year except for Sparks. And I believe that Sparks is probably going to end up doing the same thing as everybody else. Because I think they're redoing their curriculum, because that's the only one that they haven't done. So tonight we come to that point in time when we get to give our awards out. A lot of kids didn't come. And so we're kind of scarce in ways. So we're going to start with the 2 TNT.
Come on up, guys. Oh, Chuck. Do you want to move the flag a little bit further out? That one anyway. You can't see through this flag. Okay, so the TNT Club is for our 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders. And usually we have about 8 kids. Tonight we only have 3. I know we have some that are home because of illness and other things that are going on. But I do have awards for these 3. First of all, Grace hasn't been with us for a while, so she is back and we are welcoming her back today. She was actually due to get her sash with the chevron on it at our last award ceremony, and she did not get that. So now she is awarded her sash with her first chevron. All right? The next person we have is Parker Warren. And Parker, you want to come over here? Parker has got his sash and 2 awards at the last ceremony. Since then, he has earned 2 more. So Parker, I'm pleased to give you your sash now with 4 chevrons on it. And finally, we have Dallas. Dallas, you want to come over here? All right, Dallas notice his color is a little different. He's a 5th grader, and the 5th graders are our seniors in our program. So we honor them with a different color, and you are right, that was not yours. I would have given you the wrong one. So Dallas is one of our oldest ones, and Dallas at the last award ceremony had 1 award. They get to choose any award that they want to go on their sash, and he had chosen Take the Challenge. And this time he earned 2 awards. And so he chose the mascot for the club, which is a dog, and his name is Streamwood. And then he also chose a Streamwood crossing tag. So he now has 3 on here. Dallas, congratulations. That's all we've got for tonight. You have something for us?
So what we also do is we do what is called, it's called Clubber of the Quarter for each of the clubs. And so what ends up happening is it's kind of based upon their achievement and everything for the quarter. And we also vary it out, because if you have already won it for the first quarter or the second quarter, then you're ineligible to do a repeat, because sometimes you might end up giving the same child the award for all the time because they excel in a lot. So we kind of want to make it a little bit further. And so the kid with the worst attitude today, but Clubber of the Quarter, Mr. Dallas Martin. We like Dallas because honestly, every Sunday he calls and says, hey, can you guys come pick us up? And we'll tell him, yeah, we just need to know where you're at. And sometimes he likes to play a little trick, like I'm here, and so we have to go to different locations to try to find him. It's like, where in the world is Dallas Martin?
Today he called in for himself and for the rest of his family in different houses. He's the only one that showed up, but at least he came. We do want to also, I'd like to acknowledge Miss Dancy Burgess. Dancy, as well as Lisa, are helpers in my class, and they do a great job, and I really appreciate all the help. All right, thank you.
So part of, in previous years, in the TNT clubs, they would have a 3rd and 4th grade, and that would be one club. 5th and 6th grade would kind of be the same part of the club, but you'd also see the different uniforms to kind of distinguish between the two. And so this year, we kind of had a choice. We could leave the 6th grade with the TNT, or we could move it up because Trek is also a 3-year class, 3-year.
It was just 7th and 8th.
Before, but now they've actually added another 6th grade, so it's now 3 years that they're in there instead of just being 2. So we decided, okay, let's just go ahead and put the 6th, 7th, and 8th graders together. Let's just bite the bullet and do something different this year. And so we did. So we have the Trek class with Peggy and Mark.
Well, good evening, everyone. We have, I guess I could call you guys the usual suspects, right? No, I love these guys. These are very faithful to here, and we usually have Dallas' brother Cody along for the ride as well. We've been taking a trip through the book, the handbook that we have this year is called His Story, and it has the origin of time and the history and what the fall, and how does that all relate to our story with Jesus? Okay. And I went back and I looked, and you guys realized that we've worked on a total of 23 sections over this year up to this point. Okay, and it's not just we look at what the Bible says. We have some really good discussions in there. And all, and I'm very proud of you guys, even though sometimes it gets a little bit talky, but nothing that's rough, too rough. Not anyway. You guys have done really well. I think you'd be surprised. JJ, how many sections do you think you've done over this year? Okay, we've had 23. How many do you think you've done?
Around 15.
20.
Oh.
Congratulations. And how many do you think? She said 16 of 23. Congratulations. These guys have put forth an effort, a certain effort that we have questions that get their thoughts flowing because, you know, this, and frankly, folks, this is about our eternity. Okay? Bottom line, it's about our eternity. And I really invite you, if you have not already made that decision, talk to somebody today about that. Here next week when we have the ice cream thing going next week. We have the ice cream thing going next week, and we're going to finalize our goals for our end of the year party, which is going to involve squirt guns and color bombs. So this is going to be a blast. And we have the Grand Prix coming up with Journey and TNT, so it's going to be a blast this to finish out this year. I'm proud of both of you. And I have a fantastic guy down here. This guy...
I'm just a referee.
No, referee. He is not a referee. He is fantastic. He's just been fantastic. I've worked with him a number of times. He's a fantastic guy.
So, here. So again, when you only have 3 people in your class, and you already have your club or the quarter, and so I don't know what we're going to do for the fourth quarter.
They have more than 3 people in the class.
Oh, do they?
Yeah, we have
6 or 7 sometimes.
we've had 7 or 8 in there before.
Well, so this time, your club or the quarter is Cody Martin.
Okay, we will.
You have to tell him, Dallas, you didn't show. So you lose, bro. All right. So this is our Trek class.
All right, guys.
And
So one of the things they mentioned, and I forgot to mention when we were up there, was one of the things that we do is have outings. And we've already had one outing this year, and we had a really good time. But we have another one coming up. We're having a lock-in here at the church. So it's going to be an overnight lock-in, and so I would offer it up to other leaders. If you would like to participate in our lock-in, you can do that.
all righty. So.
No, the whole program.
So one of the things as we were talking this morning, and this is why I kind of said we were kind of everybody coming together too, is as we were talking, and maybe I didn't mention it this morning, and it'll come up in the next week's part of it. But one of the things we want to be as a church is also a multi-generational church, not just a multinational. And if you didn't realize, look around on Sunday morning, and you are seeing people from different nationalities, different cultures, and everything that's showing up, which means God's doing something. Because you're not seeing it in a lot of the other churches that are around. But at the same time, not only do we want to be multinational, we also want to be multi-generational. Because if all you have is one generation of individuals, your church will die, because eventually that generation will die out. And so therefore, that's why we try to say we want to be a multi-generational church. That way it continues to breathe life within itself. And this is where we come from in our Awana class. We've already seen some of our kids that have been in the Awana program now are stepping up to becoming leaders. And this is where we try to train them to step up to do that, which is awesome. So now we come to our high school. We were really, kind of struggling this year a lot as to, Jason working and everything and saying, okay, what are we going to do, as far as a leader in there. And so we kind of asked Terry and Harold, hey, could you guys do us a favor and kind of help us here? And so they've done a great job, and I think everybody's having a good time. So, and then Jason's in there with them, so y'all can come. So this is our high school kids, 9th, 10th, and 11th, and 12th grade.
As Chuck just alluded to, it has been a challenging year, and I don't know what I'd do without you guys. So thank you for all the help you've done. And as knock on wood, hopefully as of today, this is my last Sunday, I got to work for the rest of the year too. So, actually I was just sitting here thinking to listen to the other groups. We come in every week, we do our opening ceremonies, and we recite 2 pledges. One of the American flag and one of the Awana flag. Remember the words, the Awana flag is about training others only about Christ, but to serve Him. Okay? And not only that, the main Bible verse that this program is centered around is 2 Timothy 2:15. It says, "Study to show thyself approved unto God, a workman that needeth not to be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth." And the reason I'm going there for a minute is, right now the big focus this year has been a 2-part focus on defending your faith and sharing your faith. And if you notice the lessons, we're going back and forth, they are very centered in those aspects. But the other aspect is that pledge that we pledge every week is living out your faith. Okay? As we're seeing it right now, as you guys know about the situation with Tessa's friend. Okay, we were actually just talking a few minutes ago. This church has had some crisis get dumped right in our lap this year. Okay, and God does them for a reason. That He will ultimately receive the glory. Guys, don't ever waste time. When you have an opportunity like that, and God presents those opportunities, those are some of the best times to be able to share the gospel with someone, because the Bible says He is near to the brokenhearted. He saves those who are crushed in spirit. A lot of times we are most receptive to His Word because we are seeking hope when we have none. And words can't even express the growth that we're seeing this year out of you guys. What God is doing in each and every one of you. And serving the ways you are serving is very humbling and very grateful to the Lord for each and every one of you guys. And that's pretty much all I got to say. You guys want to say anything?
Jason is right. They have really been growing. We've all been learning beside each other here about everything, and some of the things they say in that is just, I'm like, wow, they're not just children, they're young adults, and they are going to be able to lead. Once they get graduate and that, they're going to be able to continue to lead, like take our places, and it's kind of nice to know that they're going to be able to do that. I give you all praises. You guys have been great to work with, and we've enjoyed it. It's been our pleasure.
Throughout some of the classes, I've got to watch a lot of these young adults actually grow and actually learn. The 2 that I believe I've seen grow and learn the most has been Emily Green and Ashton. They have grown the most. Tess has come out of her shell quite a bit and participated in the class, but all of them have grown. Even during the Sunday school class that I teach in the morning, Emily reads really great, pronouncing words that a lot of the adults don't understand. They can't sound them out. But every one of these kids, every one of the kids out there in this audience and every one of the kids up here, they deserve a big round of applause because they have learned a lot in a short period of time. And they're going to be fantastic leaders one of these days if they just keep it up.
So most of the time, the clubs, except for the ones in the 6th, 7th, and 8th, and then the high school kids, they earn their points. They earn their points for the dues, bringing the Bible, attending Sunday school, passing sections, bringing friends, and things. These guys basically save their points up, and at the end of the year they have a party together. So go all out on that. And so for this quarter, for the third quarter, the most inspirational journeyer for phenomenal participation in the Calvary Awana Journey Club is Miss Lexi Morrison.
Gotta give speed flex.
Today.
It's a microphone.
She's been great. It's always good at answering it.
Okay, so that's the end of this club for the night. So now we go from our oldest club all the way down to the youngest. And one of the things that happens in this is we actually start Awana at age 2. And that the Puggles is just a 1 year. So they're in there for 2 years, and then they begin to start moving up. This is, they stay in there for 1 year, rather than a lot of the other ones, like they're in there for 2 or 3 years. But they are in there for 1 year, so they can't kind of get accustomed to everything, and the teacher just kind of cries when they leave, and then they break some more. And so generally, as you know, it had always been, Susan had been doing that, and we were trying to say, okay, now who is the next person that we can get to go into there? And so Shana said, well, you know what, I'll try that. So she has done well and stuff, and so I think she actually has 2 kids tonight out of the 3 that's actually in there. And so it's kind of a challenge sometimes, but they step up to it. So come right in. She generally has Miranda with her as her helper and stuff. And so tonight, Miranda has changed.
Ain't that pretty?
You had to take a picture there, Shana. Or I'm sorry, this is Shana and that's Shanna. Okay. Just spell it the same, pronounce it different, man, this kills me.
Sorry. When I have only been doing this for a short time, and I was nervous. I take one home. I don't have to, but I was nervous, really. I was nervous what I was going to be stepping into. And the first day, I was going home and I was kicking my feet up because I was overwhelmed with the chasing. Then after a few times of doing it, they have grown. They are young and they are wild and they don't listen like you'd expect. But they have every one of them have he is now saying grace over snacks. And if you ask him who made something, he will tell you God made it. God made him. And he's being able to tell you God loves you and God loves everyone. And they each Gabe, who isn't here, he has grown tremendously. I've learned to teach him while he's running around like a madman. I can get him to recite what I'm trying to get through him if he's running around. So we play games with the balls throwing everywhere. It's wild, but they've all came a long way in the short time that I've been doing it, especially that. That's it.
Okay, so the most inspirational Puggle for this time actually goes to Gabriel Roberson. So he's not here. Lisa got them all sick, so they all had to stay home. So that's her excuse. So
Yeah.
that goes to them. Malachi's my buddy because he's told one day, he says, hey, Mom, Dad, there's God. That's cool.
Ready?
Okay.
I mean, you always want somebody to see God in you, and I tell you what, better way than a little child. So we go from Puggles to Cubbies. Cubbies is generally a 3 and 4 year olds, and so they will alternate books every year, so that way they don't have the same book. Last year they did Appleseed. This year they are doing. Which one are you doing? Do you guys know what you're doing?
Honeycomb.
Honeycomb.
don't let this fool you. We normally have so many more. There's so many more usually. They're just not here tonight. So I started and I, like everybody else, had no idea what to expect. You know, our kids are a little older than Puggles. They're not quite Sparks, but they do listen, and you get them to sit in their seat, and they understand point systems and moving clips and being good and not being good. And they do recite their, their lessons and bring their Bibles, and they're proud of that, These are small things to us, but to them, I got a Bible, like they're excited about God and about Christ, and that excites me, So, well, we got a couple of them getting badges today. So, Dorian, he's wearing his badge. He got his apple and his child. We're going to be adding an apple and a green apple and a red apple to Dorian's sash because that is what he got this time. And this is for you, so you can have a snack because I always bring a snack. And we put his on, we put Braylon's sash on. He doesn't have anything on yet, but this time he did get his trial emblem and his red apple, and I'll put him on there for him, and then he'll have some on his sash. But I'm grateful.
Good.
Yeah.
So their clover of the quarter is someone that's also not here because Lisa made him sick.
Oh,
And that's Liam.
okay.
And Gabriel.
Are you ready? Okay. Do you have something to say? Okay.
Dorian always has something to say.
He seemed like he needed to say something, so we were going to let him.
So we go from there to the last class, and the last class is actually our kindergarten through second grade, and so we have our Sparks group. So tonight, we cut it down to a lot less people and stuff, but Michael was the one who was leading this, and then when they left to go on to Liberty Heights and stuff, it was like, okay, so what do we do? And I thought, well, okay, I'll move in there, and then what are you going to do about your teaching? Well, I'll give that to Jose, and Jose can do that, and he does well. And so, I feel like that's covered. We got it. So when I walk in there, it's like, okay, guys, I'm not going to be the one teaching all the time. And it's like they start looking at me like, okay, what are we going to do? And so far, we've actually had 2 people, well, actually 3 people step up. Dave, the first week, I just handed him a book and I said, hey, you want to do this? I'll try. and he did. And for the first time of doing it, sometimes you got to understand it's hard. It really is. But he stepped up and did a great job. And then the next week, I said, well, who wants to do that? I think, did you volunteer? Or did I just shove the book your way?
You sort of looked at me and sort of was shoving and I was saying yes at the same time.
It's kind of hard sometimes. It's kind of hard sometimes to tell Pastor no.
Yeah, it is.
Especially kind of looking at you with the eyes. And so Regina came in. It was just awesome. Well prepped, and did a real good job. And she kind of bribed the kids later too. So that always helps.
It works, let me tell you.
And then I said, okay, so who's going to do the next one? And that was for this week. And I actually got Jim to do that.
I was nominated by default.
Yeah. and
This is his debut.
it kind of got out of it because it's an award ceremony.
next week.
So I guess it goes to,
He's practicing for next
oh,
week.
okay, it's practicing for next
You're
week.
not smarter than somebody, you got no attitude.
Yeah, so we kind of did that. So anyway, I went back and I made sure that I got all of the kids' awards up to this point that they had, and I've given them their sashes and stuff, and things that they've actually earned, okay? And so I have to figure out which one I have. Okay, so I actually have Mr. J.J. Wall, who is in kindergarten.
First grade.
First grade, all right. So he actually has completed his first book this year, and he is now into his second book, about halfway through. And so he's working really, really hard. And so JJ, here's your sash that gives you your wings, all of your red, green, and blue jewels. And there's your certificate or your ribbon for your first, and so first book. And so you get to take, so you get to take that home with you. Okay, so Cyrus. Okay, so Cyrus is in kindergarten, right? And so what ends up happening is he has already completed his whole first book, and we still have 8 more weeks to go. So what ends up happening is once they complete his first book, he's in kindergarten, he can't go on to a second book because that comes with the first grade, and then the third book would go for the second grade. And so what he ends up doing is now he has to go through a thing called a book review and extra credit and everything else. And so he is working his way through there, and he'll be earning his rewards from there. So what I have for you is I have all of your club attendance, because you have actually been here every night but one, I believe, if I'm right. And so he has completed his first book, so he's got his wings, he has all of his jewels, and so that goes to you, bud. I have
I don't mind you guys. It goes over his left shoulder instead of his right shoulder.
That's all right. That's where that is.
And then here's the post.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So, Mr. Nova, he has already passed his first book. He's into his second book. And so he's doing great in here. He's already got his first red jewel. He's almost to complete his first green jewel. And so he has no issue doing some good work here.
Open your head first.
There we go. I'll take the other one. Yeah, there we go.
We'll just put them on. That's okay.
It's called be consistent in the terms that you say wrong. And then you also,
In my cupboard. I'm more.
so you have those,
Yeah, I have
and
more of them.
and then there's your first award. Cool. All right. So again, I must say, yes, I'll give my plumber. But doing that, I did want to say, first of all, thanks to these guys, it makes it a lot easier for me. I don't have to worry about it, and eventually I can step out of there, and I won't have to worry about, okay, they're in good hands. And one of the things that you also have to understand, guys, is it's really, you think, well, why do you have so many? When you're sitting there with these kids that are kindergarten, first grade, second grade, unfortunately, a lot of times they don't know how to read. And so it's us not only helping them to memorize their verses, we're also helping them to read, because we're making them follow along with us as we're going through there. And a lot of them are doing very well because they're looking at the words and beginning to pronounce the words. And so we aren't just teaching kids about Christ, we're helping them get through life. And sometimes it's a struggle because there's certain kids that you get attached to, or they attach to you, and it's like, okay, here we go. And so one will be sitting on Dave's lap on this side, and one on the other side. Then I'll hear him say, okay, I want to go with Regina, I want to go over here. And then Jim has stepped in the last few weeks to help us out. And it's actually been awesome to be able to do this. And I say thanks to Shanna Banana. Y'all get together, get a name, like George or something. But anyway, and then Jim, Dave, and Loretta. Regina. But I do want to say, we also, Sue Gibbs is in the class too. And so she helps out. So we actually have about 5 or 6 of us in there.
We have 6 or 8 kids too.
Yes. And so so when it's 1-to-1, it's kind of hard. So anyway, so for our most inspirational Sparky, for his phenomenal participation in the Calvary Awana Sparkies Club, is Mr. Cyrus Lewis. He's probably one of the most proudest peacocks that you'll ever see. Hold it up so Mom can see it.
Get your picture. Here, both hands.
There you go.
Both hands. There you go. Smile real big. All right.
So that completes this part. And then there's people that are behind the scenes that we would always like to recognize, because again, when Charlie Michael ended up going to Liberty Heights at the beginning of the year, we had to also fill some spots that became vacant. One was as far as games and stuff. Bob was already in there helping. Gary and Dean, and as most of you know, Dean has been sick, and just continue to pray for him so that he can get the surgery and get back to having a life. And so Mr. Bob Grimm has been back there doing games. The only problem is that he's a Pittsburgh Steelers fan.
Where?
You know, so it's like, okay. But it's all right. He'll come in every once in a while, and he'll tell me about how bad the Bengals are, and I'll tell him I know. You know, so he does that. We have the store, which the kids love, and one of the things it's been awesome is because we really don't have to worry about what's in the store. We don't have to worry about the store being stocked. I just have to worry about Linda saying, okay, I'm here shopping right now. How much of this do you want me to get? And it's like, I don't know. And so we need to actually get a truck to accommodate all the stuff that she buys, because her little car is just, she's learned how to pack it well, if I can say that. But we do want to say thanks to Linda, who actually got this and it's really amazing because a lot of the stuff that she's bought, she's got at deals, and a lot of the stuff that you don't know is on Monday. Shanna has a group. It's called the Middletown $1. What is it?
Middletown $1 family option.
Yeah, and so they will do some stuff, and they've actually been meeting in the back for about 2 years now. earlier somebody else was in charge of it, now she is. But you don't know, we have become part of that auction, and we have actually sold somewhere close to about $150, maybe $200 worth of stuff that has actually gone in to also help fund Awana. And so it has actually allowed us to be able to do some things that we haven't been able to do. And so it just gets awesome. We've already ran out of the Valentine stuff. That's not mine. So anyway, so that we haven't, so now we're trying to get the Easter stuff and getting them ready for that. And then we go back into the office, and Debbie has graciously stepped in and picked up all of the stuff that Charlie was doing back there, helping keep the kids' points together, keeping the attendance together, all of the things that need to be done to keep everything there. So we know which kids are missing. We can, on Monday night, most of you have probably already got a card of some sort from us at some place and stuff. But we get to find out from there which kids are missing. And so on Monday night, we generally have the Awana leaders in there that are actually writing cards to their kids. Said, hey, we missed you this week, and or happy birthday, and things. So it has become, as you can see, on Sunday night, a lot of times people will say, well, there's not hardly anybody here if you were to just look in the back. But when you begin to start looking at from what's in the back to what's in Awana, we're generally right around anywhere 45 to 60 people. And if you think about it, that's where we were on Sunday mornings for a while. And so you begin to start seeing things pick up and moving in different directions. And so as pastor, I have to say thank you very much. I appreciate it. To all of you leaders that take time out to prepare and just relate to the kids. It's awesome. Okay?
I have one other thing, just, we're kind of co-commander here, so in case you're wondering, but anyway, I don't know, most of you were probably here this morning and you looked around and saw how many people were here. Any guesses on how many people you think were here this morning? 95. I'm hearing 70-ish, I heard 195 back there. In fact, there were 92 people here this morning. To hear 70s, because that's about what you have in the sanctuary. There are 20 plus people that are in the back on Sunday morning because of these kids. So I really want to thank all the kids. We thank the leaders a lot, but I really want to thank you as kids for coming on in the morning and coming to the Awana program. And that is why our church is where it is today. Is 92 people. But that's because we care about kids and we invest in them and we put our time and efforts into them. So thank you, adults and children.
And it just, if I can just kind of brag a little bit about, what's going on in the church and stuff. As we were talking this morning, the young girl that came up when I was talking, Chet and them didn't realize who she was, and then when I said the 9 kids, they automatically knew exactly who it was that I was talking about. But if you all remember, about 3 weeks ago, Harold brought his cousin, Janine, right? Jeannie, to church. And that had been, part of his Who's Your One thing. And she got saved that day. We had our sweetheart banquet, and her husband came. And we got to spend some time and talking with them. And she came up to me this morning and she says, okay, I'm ready to get baptized. When can we do that? And I said, well, I don't have water in it, so we're going to do it next week. And so she's going to be baptized next Sunday. And so I asked Harold, I said, hey, would you like to help me? And so he's going to help me do that. And so it's his cousin, get to participate. But what was awesome about that is that she walked out and she began to talk to Jamie Worley, the young girl. She said, did your mom work? She says, because I actually think I worked with your mom. And lo and behold, she did. She had worked with Jamie's mother at Miami University. And so it's amazing what God's doing with connections. And the connections that are just coming from all different directions and bringing people together that are having some type of a common thread through there. And so what I say is to y'all, don't give up. There's never room to give up because there's always room to just keep pressing on in all of the things that are there. And so as we continue to see these kids grow, sometimes you look at what's going on outside and you look and you think, man, there's no hope. But yeah, there is. There's lots of it. For those of you that came for Sunday night services, thanks for coming and supporting these kids and being a part of parenting them and helping them to understand that this church does care. Okay? So generally what they do in Awana is they do a song. Okay? And so this is kind of an impromptu thing because I have no clue how we're going to do it, but it's all yours. You do it.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Get your Okay, I'm not exactly sure how we're going to do this because we have a sort of a circle, a square at the end of the night, and they go around and they touch each other's heads when we get to the different clubs. So we sing, He's Got the Whole World in His Hands. So if I have some kids that want to come up and join me, you can come on up.
Do it, come on, yes. I mean, this is my game, but I
All right. So, you guys ready? All right, we're going to sing, and when we get to the different clubs, we'll just go and say, just wave at them from the end of the right here. Ready? Okay. He's got the whole world in his hands. He's got the whole